Start off with,
See if we did this right.
hey everybody, we're ready to roll.
Yes,
Well, some of us aren't. So,
We're getting close.
Welcome again to Hyperbaric Plus, and we're doing our weekly meeting where we get to answer questions and talk about things that are kind of trending right now. I'll put it that way. So I'm Paul with Hyperbaric Plus, and this is Keith Bishop at prevailovercancer.com. And today we're going to talk about reducing chemical load. And I got all kinds of new things I want to throw at you in the middle of this that I'm learning. And then Keith said, hey, let's do a little tour of the place. So we're going to throw these cameras on a roll around and look at some of the other things that we do here at Hyperbaric Plus. But let's get going. Keith, it's all yours.
Great, okay.
Get dialed into you.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you for tuning in. So we're on Instagram at Prevail Over Cancer and Facebook at Hyperbaric Plus. And so thank you for joining. If you have questions, be sure and submit those, and we'll try to get to those today. If not, we'll reply to that, after the session, and or if we'll try to get to that early during the session. I'll try to keep this brief, but I have a handout available. It's on my website, on my Learning Center, so at prevailovercancer.com. Learning Center, down toward the bottom of the website is this handout. It's got all the basics and a couple of links to some additional information. So be sure and check that out, download that. And there's a lot of free guides also on that website. So Hyperbaric Plus probably also has this posted on their website. It's hyperbaric.plus. is their website. So we're going to continue talking about toxic chemicals. And so we've been talking about pesticides and herbicides that we're exposed to, that the U.S. government has some pending laws that are going to be voted on starting in September that can protect the manufacturers from lawsuits, and they also won't have to tell us what's in the foods and in the pesticides and herbicides. And so we don't want that. We want more information available so we can make better decisions, and we spent a little bit more time about that last week. And so now this week I want to talk about what can we do after we've been exposed. And we're going to talk a little bit about prevention. That's just part of it. We want to try to reduce that exposure to these chemicals. And so, and I'm going to be looking down at my handout, so I'm not going to be talking on the camera just continuously like this. So I want to make sure I cover everything appropriately. And so what is a chemical load? So it refers to an accumulation of chemicals that we get in our diet, in our environment, our foods, the air that we breathe. We were talking about last week how a couple of weeks ago there was a study released how the wind coming into Oklahoma had chemicals in it from other states, pesticides and such from other states were being blown in from the west. And so
high amount.
Yeah, a very high amount of it. So we're exposed to this stuff, and to a certain extent our body can detox, and we're going to talk about that today. That means detoxify it, help get rid of it out of the body. But the challenge is that our world is different than what God originally had for us. And so originally there were not these chemicals. There were plant chemicals, yes, plants and foods and chemicals, but not the synthetics. That's the challenge, is the synthetics. To a certain extent, we can get rid of that, but we need to prevent that from happening. So these synthetic chemicals can get into our body, and they can be hormone disruptors, thyroid disruptors, increased risk of cancers, dementias, Parkinson's, diabetes. And we can go into everything. So almost every single health condition, this is part of that picture. It's not going to be the only thing, but it's definitely part of that picture. So we have to do some, well, I call it critical thinking. That's not my phrase, but it came about when we had a pandemic issue, and we had to be thinking about things and thinking through things. So what are these exposures? And so I'm going to go through very briefly some things like in the household, cleaning products. And I meant to bring some examples of things like Annie's Pure and Simple. They've got a cleaning spray. It's like $5 for this bottle. It's inexpensive compared to what you get at the store, but it's $5, and it's got oils, in it, natural oils that are essential oils that are cleaning and safe to use versus the other things and the other cleaners that they won't even tell us what's in it. And so although we're learning now, we can search and find out that information. But cleaning products, air fresheners, you know, and even plastics. So air fresheners like the plug-ins, the heating ones, unless it is an essential oil, there's going to be some bad plastics in it, and it's going to be a problem. And those are chemicals. And do you need a handout too? Do we have an extra one? Yeah. And so, by the way, we have a round table here for those of you that are just tuning in, not familiar with this. So several of us are here, so I'll be taking questions. Submit your questions. And hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So household products and air fresheners. Oh, for air fresheners. Candles are made of nasty stuff. So a burning candle, that wick itself, you know, is, you know, synthetically made often, has lead in it, not counting the other oils and petroleum products that are in that candle. And so I don't use candles unless I have to for an emergency. I have that for emergency light maybe, but don't do that. The plug-in air fresheners, toxic chemicals. Toxic chemicals. If you can smell it, if you can smell it, if you can smell it, you know, that's affecting your body. Matter of fact, so in my intake forms on my website, online assessments, that's one of the things I ask for is chemical sensitivities. You know, some people.
Gives me headache.
And what does?
My mom's house, she got all those like Scentsy, the melting wax.
Yes, melting waxes, candles,
all the sorts of air fresheners.
Exactly. So, and some people actually have more of a difficult time detoxing. And so that's my questionnaire is, you know, do you feel bad with chemical exposure? And that's actually one of those signs that the liver is having a difficult time getting rid of that. So therefore, you may be more susceptible to some health challenges because of that. So it doesn't take as much of a chemical exposure for you to have challenges, where me, it doesn't bother me. And your mother, you know, no problem. But for you, that's going to be more of a problem. So that chemical sensitivity, some people can walk into a store and they just, they feel terrible, you know, from the scent and chemicals and odors and things like that. So yes, not just household, but that's what I've got listed on the handout. Agriculture, we've talked about that for the past couple of weeks, about pesticides and herbicides and fungicides. Chemicals, foods. I do want to spend a little time on that too. Additives, preservatives, packaging residues. And so, matter of fact, this week, those of you that are my clients, I'm talking to people and they open up that plastic water bottle and drink that water bottle, and you've got colon cancer. You know, that's not a great idea. Okay? So those microplastics have estrogenic properties. They attach to the cells. And yes, I see you moving your cup out of the way. That cup has a plastic liner in it. Yeah, that has a plastic liner in it, and a hot beverage and an acidic beverage eating away at these. So yes, so stainless steel cups are better options. And so yeah, we'll go through some of these. And so, matter of fact, you know, I'm making changes. So that's the whole goal, is to learn and start making changes. So when you go to that coffee store, you know, take your own mug.
Do you think they would do that at Starbucks if I asked them to put it in my cup?
Or the next best thing, if they won't put it into your own mug immediately, instantly pour it in your own mug. That's what I do. So in my truck, I've got stainless steel cups and big mugs. You know, so if I go through that situation, the first thing I do is shoot right into that. The longer it's in the plastic, the greater the exposure of those chemicals. Matter of fact, you know, those of us, I am a coffee, I don't know, nut, or what do you want to call that, you know, and snob, I guess. Some people call it coffee snob. I can taste those plastics, you know, in the coffee. And so I know it's there. And so, and maybe it's my imagination, but I know it's there. So we got to be careful about that. You're getting ready to say something else?
No,
Okay.
Well, when we were talking about soaps, I have a veteran that was in the burn pits. And so since he got home, he's got chemical sensitivity. He's very severe. And a lot of my veterans have been in the burn pits and have these chemical sensitivities. So he created laundry detergent and a soap using essential oils, and he puts all the ingredients that are in the laundry detergent, and they're all natural, and they absolutely, he's getting so much positive feedback
Smells great.
that he's,
The soap
Oh,
I've
really?
been using, the shower.
Isn't it?
I
And
love
it's
it.
essential
She loves
oils.
it.
It's not
It's
chemical. It's
So is
essential
he
oils.
selling this?
I've got it here.
Okay.
And I was hoping he would be here today.
Okay.
I hope he's watching. But we're getting ready to start helping him bring this out because
Yeah.
I've had a really positive
The frankincense is my favorite.
response. Yeah. So anyway, I'll bring it over. We'll show it
Yeah,
here in a
that's
minute.
great. Yeah, we'll do that. And so that's kind of like Annie's Pure and Simple, a small company
Exactly.
with this cleaning supplies and a fantastic product. I love that product. And she's got 3 or 4 different scents and oils, so a little bit different purposes.
Even unscented.
And he's got, and this other person has some unscented type items. So on that, so and along that coffee thing, so we have to rethink this, this exposure that we're in. So my grandparents, their coffee maker was a percolator, on the stove, percolating, and the bubbling coming up through the top and hitting the top knob and coming back down and kind of a fun sound as you think back through that. Well, actually, that's now what I've gravitated back to, because the coffee makers, the coffee pods, matter of fact, that coffee pod has layers and filters of plastic inside it. You're running the hot water. The coffee's a little bit more acidic than the water. You're running all of that through those plastic pods. You're poking holes in those things. You got the paint that you're poking a hole through. So coffee pods, I'm really against that. And then even a drip coffee maker, it's the same thing. You tear into that coffee maker, everything inside is plastic. All the tubing, everything is plastic. So once again, we're running, and even the basket is plastic. The filters have plastic in them, unless you get special filters. They're plastic to make them stronger so they won't break apart when the water's going through them. So that's different. And we live in a different world than what we used to, than what our parents, and especially our grandparents, not counting great-grandparents. It's a totally different world. So, but we got to make changes. So I've gone with an electric percolator. And then when I'm camping, of course, I've always had a regular coffee pot, a stove, for a stove or a campfire. But now I've gone with that for home too. So I actually keep the drip coffee maker as a memorial, and so I use that for some props and posting. So
For your friends when they come over.
no, I wouldn't do that to them. I wouldn't even do that. And so yes, we went on a family vacation and up to a friend's cabin, and I took the percolator. And matter of fact, my grandkids were going, adult grandkids are going, "Papa, what's that?" I said, "That's how you make coffee." They had no idea about that. And so, and yes, it makes, like 8 cups at a time. And yes, so we had to go through that 2 or 3 times every morning for 11 people. But it was great, and great exposure to learn about it. So we just got to make these little changes.
Sharon has her grandmother's Pyrex
Oh,
coffee
yeah.
pot. And so glass is
Glass
awesome.
even.
And
Exactly.
what's cool is we've replaced individual parts on there multiple times in the last 50 years. So that's crazy.
Exactly. So glass, we're going to talk about cookware in just a moment about that. So a little bit more, I'll mention that again. So, and then personal care items. Let's go back to the food. So we have to think about those foods, what they're coming in, and then try to do the best that we can. Get away from the plastics, go back to the glass, like my grandmother used to have, and my mother at one time, and there's other things that we can go back into. So we're buying more and more and more glass containers, and getting away, and when we get something home, transferring it, so that it's just to reduce that exposure the best that we can.
So it's not Rubbermaid, it's plastic made.
Yeah, plastics.
So
Yeah, any plastic.
Yeah, Rubbermaid components went out of our house many years ago.
Okay, so here's the information about, Paul, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, so this is a bar of soap, and I've got some, and we'll post this on our website as well, but I've got all the ingredients on the different laundry detergents. If you are able to stop your video and zoom in on that, another way to look at it. But again, he removed anything that's a chemical out of his products, and this is a sample component. He sells a 24-ounce bag that I think he said, I can't remember how many he said, but anyway, we're doing a deal. He donated this to us, and he's allowing people to get an $8.50 bar of soap, and one of these containers, which is about $6 or $7 worth of product. And if you make a $10 donation to Hyperbarics for Heroes, you get one of each. I'm not trying to sell. but he's asking my clients to give him feedback. That's why he just gave it to us, and I said, hey, let's make a little fundraiser out of it. So pretty neat.
Great.
And yeah, everybody's had they think there's chemical in it because it is so aromatic. I mean, you
Yeah,
can.
the smell is great.
My wife said, okay,
Clean.
so you use that soap again when I walked out into the house. And
You can't yell at us for having smell and hyperbaric stuff.
well, and she said, you may be getting people in trouble. I said, well, let's see if anybody, how they respond, because it's not chemical. It's essential oil.
I
So,
like it.
Yes. So essential oils are great.
Yeah, yeah.
And they are. Matter of fact, I even have essential oils I put in my sauna at home, and just for the little bit of a scent, in there, and to help to actually disinfect, to keep mold from growing in there with all that moisture. So also personal care products. So this is very important. So there's studies showing that women that have been using antiperspirants and perfumes and personal care shampoos, body washes, whenever they get off of that, and I think it's within 30 days, they switch to natural products that don't have those synthetic chemicals in it, the amount of those chemicals decrease by 90% within 30 days. So our body can get rid of these chemicals, but we've got to reduce that load. And then there's another study showing that whenever they reduce those chemicals, kind of like pre-cancerous situations turn to normal cells.
Like you were going to have cancer, but then
Like
you reverse.
those cells were pre-cancerous. They were like deformed and almost getting ready to go into cancer. Whenever they remove those chemicals, they switch to normal cells. Okay?
I stopped wearing makeup after my diagnosis.
Stop wearing makeup.
It changed my deodorant.
Yes, changing, and you decreased your makeup too, huh? Way to go. For us guys, that's right. So sometimes, actually, I have to admit, sometimes I'll put a little bit of a powder on. So
Well, T lost all of his natural makeup. They called that a beard.
yeah. So
Well done, Tim.
Yeah, yeah.
okay. So personal care products. So anything with a smell, we have to evaluate. If it's an essential oil, I'm not as concerned about it. But there's parabens and phthalates, and so look at that list. If that list has got a lot of stuff and you don't know what it is, we need to be very careful about it. So I do like to get my items from health food stores. And there's also apps, one's called Ivy something, IVY, and then Yucca, is another app that I use quite a bit, and then EWG, I'm going to mention them in a little bit too. I think they may even have an app also. You can actually scan the barcodes on commercial products, and it tells you about the pesticides and chemicals and things like that in it. Yes?
My dentist just gave me a recipe for a natural mouthwash.
Oh, okay. Natural mouthwash.
16 ounces of filtered water,
Water,
1 teaspoon of
soda, baking soda,
and 10 drops of peppermint essential oil.
and peppermint essential oil.
And I tried it this morning, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, okay, good. Matter of fact, I remember my granddad using baking soda to brush his teeth.
I use it sometimes.
And salt, usually.
Yeah.
Combine the two.
Yeah, so, that's what he brushed his teeth with. So, and once again, that was a simpler time, and we need to start going back toward that.
Dr. Haymaker gave me a list that's got probably 50 different toothpastes on it, and it has all the chemicals that are in
In
each
those-
of the,
the tooth-
even the natural ones. And it is an eye-opener that we're brushing our teeth with all these chemicals.
Yeah, like
Yes.
Tom's, they call themselves natural. They're bad.
They are. They're on that list.
Mm-hmm.
And so
And they have lead in them, too.
they
saw
got,
a list of
well,
lead.
that's what the list is primarily about, is lead, but they show all the other chemicals, and I'm going, anyway, can't brush your teeth without looking
That's
at
right.
that.
That's right. So we also have environment. That means outside or inside air. Like we have a business next door to Hyperbaric, and so some of those chemicals are coming over. There's some things we can't do. But we want to make changes of when we can, and so sometimes some environmental things we just have to do the best we can. So this matters because we're exposed to all these things that can affect our hormones, cancer risks, and then one little tip, and I've got on here. I find often I have some people that cannot lose excess body fat, and it's because of toxins. And those people, every single time that I give that group of people a protein detox drink, they start losing weight. And when they stop the detox drink, they don't lose weight and they start gaining weight again.
What is a protein detox drink?
Well, it's actually a protein powder with herbs that support the liver, and some of those we're going to talk about on this handout, actually the bottom of the handout. Some herbs that help the liver to function better, but also a lot of people don't have enough of the right kind of proteins. The liver requires amino acids to function properly, to detox and get rid of toxic chemicals on that. So, and that's where I use a FitIndex weight scale. We've talked about that before. A FitIndex type of a bio impedance scale. You step up on the scale and it instantly tells you how much water, muscle, bone, and fat you've got. And if you lose body fat and your water numbers get worse, toxins, and you're not getting rid of some of those toxins. And those intermediate toxins creating the water retention can even be worse than the original toxins. So
like the water get worse, you get more dehydrated?
no,
or
more water. Water retention gets worse. Water retention, the water number increases whenever you're losing body fat. Classic for not able to detox and get rid of those toxins. So increased water retention and puffiness getting worse. So that's another purpose of the FitIndex scale. I've got a link on the handout for that.
One of our clients came in here and showed you their FitIndex one day, and you went all the way across the bottom and you showed them all the different, and I was sitting there going, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah,
I went and bought one of those for $25.
$25, yeah.
And it is it is a game for me to change all those numbers.
Yes.
I weigh what I did when I was 18.
Yeah, that same thing with me.
Yeah, I am down to my 18-year-old weight.
Yeah, same thing.
It's incredible. If y'all haven't ever seen that, you need to look into it.
So great information on that. So now we're going to switch gears a little bit. And I know some of it already talked about reducing exposure, but smart shopping. So use EWG's Dirty Dozen, Clean 15, list to help guide you on some of your purchases for vegetables and fruits. I have a link at the bottom of the handout for that. You can print that out, or while you can get it on your phone and just kind of double check that till you're familiar with that. Choose organic when possible. Look for third-party tested supplements with minimal chemicals in it. So even dietary supplements can be a problem. Medications definitely are a concern, and because they use all types of chemicals in those type items. Look for or avoid plastic packaging when possible. Try to go for glass or stainless steel for when you buy things. So if I'm at and I travel and I do a lot at times, and so if I'm at the convenience store and I've got a choice between a plastic bottle and a glass bottle, I'm going to go with the glass. So as much as possible. So would you pass that down? Yes.
Got a quick question on the plastic bags. When you go to the market and you're gathering up your vegetables, they only give you those little plastic bags to do that in. Then you wash your vegetables. Does that get that off?
Yes, that would. Yes, that's a good question. So the plastic bags, have some of that plastic and other chemicals that are associated with that are going to be, transferred to the vegetables and fruit. But that's kind of on the outside, and that's the purpose of washing, baking soda, or going the opposite direction with vinegar to wash those chemicals off. And yes, so that would help with that. That's right.
And would they get the chemicals off that come from the farm also?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So washing also helps reduce those chemicals. It definitely helps. Even rinsing minimum. So like I'm traveling, I'm at a hotel room, and I've got some things there, and I may not have great chemicals. I'm going to at least wash that and kind of try to rub it with my hands and and that will help some. The baking soda or a vinegar and water wash is even better.
So, and it may be on here, I haven't looked down on your list, but where does aluminum foil come into play?
I haven't put that, it's not on here. So yes, aluminum foil is also going to be another source. So it actually is an alloy. It's not just pure aluminum, but it's an alloy, all several different types of metals on there for it to be soft enough and pliable to use. And same thing, those metals are going to be, when you cook with that or wrap food with that, those metals are going to transfer into the food. Leach into the food. So yeah, so I'm not a fan of that soft of a metal type of a thing.
Paper mache.
The paper what now?
Paper mache. share the paper version?
Parchment paper.
Parchment,
paper.
yeah, parchment paper can be better so long as it is unbleached, and so because they use chemicals to make it white, and so but unbleached parchment paper would be a better option. Wax paper is a petroleum product, wax, same thing as candles, and so that's not anything that we want to be cooking on, and so actually more acidic foods are typically more of a concern for the aluminum foil.
So we moved everything to glass, and it
Yes.
has the rubber seal with a plastic deal that snaps on the top.
Yes.
It's not in contact with the food.
Correct, that's a
And
good
then-
point.
And then when we pull it off, we put foil over it where it's not in contact with the food, and that's how we heat in the oven. I don't use
Yes.
a microwave. I didn't even put a microwave in my new house. People think I'm an idiot, and I'm like, that just kills your food.
Right, yes.
So we heat it up in an oven.
So aluminum foil would be another source. So, aluminum is a very common issue. As a matter of fact, we don't even realize how much, but it's actually like the third most common element in the crust of the earth. And so it's very common to use. It's very pliable, so a lot of metal products are going to have that in there. So, we've got all kinds of metal kind of things even here on the tripods, and there's some plastics and metals are going to have those kind of things. We can survive. We can detox, but we want to try to reduce that load, like cooking with a glass top on or the metal foil not in contact with the food, is important with that. So stainless steel, glass, and cast iron are going to be better options. Home detox, kind of use fragrance-free, plant-based cleaners like we've been talking about. Use filters to help filter the air, from our environment as much as possible. In the past we talked about HEPA filters, or up to kind of like a MERV 13 if your heat and air system can handle that, to help remove the dust and the chemicals in the air. Personal care, paraben-free, phthalate-free, so they should have that on the list, on the bottle. If they don't, it probably is going to be a problem. And so once again, the health food stores and using apps like Ivy and Yucca are great options to learn about that. Using mineral-based sunscreens like zinc. Zinc creates a physical barrier and helps prevent sunburns and decrease the risk of sunburns if you have to do that. Or wear longer clothing. So if I'm going to be outside all day long, I'll just put long sleeves on.
Well, we're talking about toxic and, protecting yourself. I've heard something that I've been doing on my kids for the chlorine in the pool.
Chlorine, okay, chlorine in the pool.
To spray ascorbic acid, which I think
Vitamin C,
on their body to not get the chlorine. So
Okay.
that's something I learned.
Okay, okay. So yes, the chlorine, is a toxic chemical, and matter of fact, disinfecting byproducts from the chlorine are concerns actually for kidneys and bladder, and so those are known carcinogen issues. Actually, indoor pools are a major problem and challenge for that, from those toxic chemicals. Matter of fact, when you walk into an indoor pool and you smell that, it's not the chlorine you smell, that's the disinfecting byproducts. And that is bad. That's worse than chlorine in a way. And so the chlorine is toxic itself, but those are actually the chemicals that our body gets in, and we have to detox that out of our system. And it's a definite risk factor for bladder cancer.
So a minute ago, you said cast iron, and we skipped over a really, really, really important component of food preparation.
Okay.
That's aluminum pans.
Right,
and
yes.
Teflon. So you went
Yes.
straight to cast iron.
Well, we still have that on here.
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry. We'll
Yes.
wait till we get
Yes, that's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. Yes. So there's so many things we can talk about, and that we can make changes with. And so
We don't want to live in a bubble. We just want to be cognizant of some little
Yes.
changes we can constantly make and make it better.
that's correct. So years ago we had we bought a very nice non-stick anodized aluminum cook set, and then shortly after that, my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and so I started researching. Okay, what are those risk factors? Well, aluminum is deposited in the brain of people with Alzheimer's, and so that $300 cooking set, I set it out in the garage, And then my wife said, well, shall we give that to our daughter, to her family? I said, no, I can't. We just threw it away because I could not give that to somebody. And that was kind of the beginning of me kind of trying to evaluate that. So, so we have to be careful about these cooking things. So we're going to that. So we talked about sunscreens. Just simplify your routine, fewer products, like makeup. It's sad that we live in a society that we feel like that, people have to have makeup. It's wrong. And so, we shouldn't be in that situation to have to do that. So, matter of fact, you're a beautiful lady. You don't have to have makeup. So, so yes, you don't have to have
I
that.
put my makeup up a long time ago.
Okay. And then kitchen habits. So using the baking soda, in water, to help get rid of the toxic chemicals. So cast iron, use cast iron, stainless, ceramic, or glass cookware. Limit coffee from fast foods, coffee pods, drip coffee makers, brew at home with stainless steel or glass percolators, and pour overs. If I'm making 1 cup of coffee, I have a stainless steel mesh filter that I put over the cup, put a tablespoon of coffee, and pour the hot water over that, and within a minute I've got my coffee. And so it's neat. I mean, it's fast, and no paper plastic filters. So filters have a lot of chemicals in them. Let's see, store in glass containers, not plastic. So did we cover everything about the cookware that you were thinking
I
of?
think so.
Okay, so the aluminum, so be careful. Aluminum, I guess they still make aluminum and nonstick, don't they, I guess?
Yeah, we bought stainless steel many years
Yeah,
ago.
we have-
and
yeah.
We had one pan come apart and they replaced it, and I mean, that is the best investment we ever made.
Yeah, so those are great, type of items. So, and then now we're going to go into supporting detox. How do we get this stuff out of our system? And so the liver, helps. It's kind of like the first step. So these chemicals are in our body. The liver is kind of like the filter, but it actually is a processing plant, and it actually goes through phase 1 and phase 2 to change fat-soluble toxins into water-soluble to go to the kidneys to eliminate that. So we have to support phase 1 and phase 2. We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes about some supplements. Kidneys, we have to have plenty of fluids on hand to help flush that out. The kidneys are another filter, and they excrete out the water-soluble toxins. But the liver has to work good enough, like chemical sensitivities, that person's going to have more of a difficult time getting rid of toxic chemicals. And so the kidneys can flush that out. And then gut health, so some of those chemicals are also put back, not only do we get them into the intestines and the gut, but they are there with our foods, but we also, some things are actually put into the intestines to be eliminated out. And if we aren't having at least 1 bowel movement a day, and if we don't have enough fiber, we will reabsorb those toxins. So that's another area with weight loss. I help my clients to make sure that they're having frequent bowel movements, to flush that stuff out. Get the fiber-rich foods. Skin, sweat-based excretion, meaning perspiring, is another way to detox and get rid of those toxic chemicals. So exercise, saunas, and hot tubs and things like that are examples. Lymphatic. So the lymphatic system does help with transporting and getting rid of these toxic chemicals, helps the immune system to work better. Nutritional support, cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, kale, arugula, and all the cruciferous help the liver enzymes. The fiber-rich food help bind and eliminate those toxins out of the intestines. Hydration, we need to be drinking 2 to 3 quarts or liters of water a day to help hydrate ourselves and help flush that stuff out. And then the sulfur-rich foods, the garlic and onions and eggs and proteins, actually help with the glutathione, which is the antioxidant that repairs our body and detoxes. Lifestyle. So I mentioned sweating, infrared saunas, exercise, hot baths, and then hyperbarics. Hyperbarics do help support circulation, mitochondrial function, and energy. Every part of our body has energy, and we have to have that energy and improve circulation to help detox and get rid of those things out of the body. It helps with enzymes and cellular repair. And then photobiomodulation. So this is a red light that's 620 up to 666 nanometers, or in that range. And then near infrared, which is 810 to 850 nanometers wavelengths. Those of you that are in physics know about that. And then you even have to have those close enough. It depends on the strength of the equipment as to how much it's actually hitting your skin. That also helps out with energy production. And so our body and our cells function better. We can eliminate these toxins. And so, matter of fact, so this would be a spot. Do you want to go back and show people the infrared?
If you would like that, let's do that real quick.
Yeah, let's do that. So we'll grab the cameras. This is a little different than normal. So we're going to walk back. Use a cart. So we're going to go back and show this.
So you were talking about photo. We'll go to the screen here, Keith.
That's right. There we go.
This is our new red light panel room, and we got a red light burning in here, but what's crazy is we incorporated a vibration plate. So the vibration, you want to set that on here, Keith, and I'll roll them around together. But we incorporated a vibration plate. So a second ago when you were talking about getting the lymph moving, well, this is huge to getting the lymph moving while you're standing in front of the photobiomodulation panel.
That's
So
right.
these are platinum LED, and they actually have 7 wavelength groups. So
Okay.
they go all the way from 550 to 1070.
Okay, cover that
And so
NIR range.
Yeah, so there's 7 different wavelengths that these operate on, and there's a little warmth. Because of the warmth, we have a fan over here that you can turn on, and it's blowing on you. And then you're standing on the vibration plate, and man, you talk about
the
getting
lymphatic.
your lymph moving. You're getting energy into the mitochondria. You're vibrating. You're moving. Everything's moving. It's everybody that does this. They come out, and several of my veterans walk out, and they go, "I just feel happy." And for 3 of
Yeah.
them to use that same
Yeah, really.
term, it really surprised me.
Yes.
So anyway, that's the photobiomodulation panels. And then we have a helmet, and I hope, Molly, do you mind if I show you modeling our helmet? So this is one of my good friends, and when she comes in and gets in the chamber, she does the helmet. Do you mind just flipping it upside down? So, you just a second, I'll be real quick. So just show me so the red lights there are showing that the helmet is on. But that is a near infrared. That is in the 1070 range. So all those lights that are in the helmet are not actually, they're on, but you can't see them visibly because they're in the near infrared.
Yeah, NIR, you
Yeah,
cannot see
yeah.
it.
So
But that's the one that penetrates up to 2 inches.
2.5 inches.
Yeah, 2 inches in the body.
Yeah, and after it goes through the skull. Molly, thank you so much for letting me barge in on you. So anyway, then we've got some other items here we'll get into one of these days down the road. But red light therapy is there are 8,000 studies getting ready to come forward on what red light therapy is doing for people's health. Pretty exciting. Here we are.
Okay.
Thanks for indulging us there.
Oh, yeah.
We're good to
Wasn't that
go.
neat? That was neat to be able to see some of the things that's going on here. So, okay. And so dry brushing and lymphatic massage, just help move this stuff out of our body. Sleep. Sleep is critical. As a matter of fact, I have so many things I want to do in my life, and I used to view sleep as a waste of time. But now I realize it's so important, I prioritize it and make it one of the most important things that I do.
Would always think like, oh, sleep when I'm dead,
Yeah,
Like, that's why you're dying.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I was, a matter of fact, I was proud to say I'm only sleeping 4 hours a night, because I've got so many.
People are proud to say that.
Exactly, because there's so many things I want to do. I want to write and share information and help people, but that's wrong. And so we do need that sleep, and so we black out the room, and it's very, very important. So that's when our body repairs itself. Matter of fact, that's when most of our detox, our liver, works at night. Oh, so another little tip. So those, some people actually have itching that's worse at night. It's because their liver's not working right. A toxic chemical that the body's trying to get rid of, the liver's working on it, can't get rid of it, and now it's irritating and creating some itching. So itching that's worse at night for unknown reasons.
I had that last night because I've been taking itraconazole, which I don't take.
A chemical.
Like, I don't take normal medication, you know. And I start taking, I start itching. I told my husband, I'm like, I'm itching, which I'm gonna deal with it because I need it, but it's just for 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah, so sometimes chemicals, so once again, so that's what the liver is having a hard time getting rid of. That's one of the things I look at on my assessment forms is itching worse at night. I go, oh, that person has some detox issues.
So how many people are up at 3 o'clock in the morning? That's 3 o'clock in the morning is I wake up every morning at 3 o'clock, go to the restroom, get back in bed, go back to sleep. But it's crazy that that's kind of part of that rhythm. That's when your liver and kidneys are kicking in.
Yes, that's right.
And that's when it's detoxing is about that time of your sleep cycle.
That's right.
So is that bad when we're waking up at 3 a.m.? Because I notice that's happening to me when I haven't eaten well or I've done something.
Well, so sometimes, yes, hypoglycemia can create a problem and wake us up at that time. But also, at about that time, actually our cortisol level is starting to go up. And, as part of the process to wake us up, and because cortisol is a stimulant. And so, if by chance yours is going up too high or you have low blood sugar, so cortisol creates high blood sugar, and that's a stimulant. Low blood sugar, actually your body's trying to wake you up, but maybe to eat, telling you that you're needing to eat or something because you've gone so low. So I don't know for sure what it is. For me, actually, I take ashwagandha, an herb, to help with that. I take it an hour before bedtime, and then kind of sit back and relax and close my eyes, do my therapeutic breathing and concentrate. I'm out. And so before bedtime. But the ashwagandha also is an anti-cancer for those of you in the cancer with the cancer groups on that. So stress reduction also helps out with detoxification, helps the body get rid of those toxic chemicals. And then herbs, milk thistle supports liver, NAC, N-acetylcysteine, boosts glutathione levels. You have to be a little more careful about some of these, actually, with the NAC during chemotherapy. And so NAC and glutathione at the same time as chemotherapy may not be appropriate. So have to be careful about that. But activated charcoal helps bind up the toxins in the intestines. Take it on an empty stomach. If you take it with food or your supplements or anything else, it's going to bind up whatever you take it with. So it has to be an empty stomach. Same thing with the chlorella, spirulina, can help bind up toxic metals, like we talked about the lead and aluminum, other things that we're exposed to, all kinds of things all the time. And I do have a link to some of those, some of my favorite supplements on there too. So on that. So we're going to take some questions. I'll try to look at those. So submit questions. And we've got some. Oh, he's on board with that. So okay. So so Q&A time. So submit your questions. If we don't have time to get to it, I'll respond to those online. So are diffusers with essential oils okay? Yes, and I spread that out just a little bit as a caution. I think we have to be careful about some of the oils that they put the essential oils in. And so we want a good quality oil and not a discount oil. It's kind of like olive oil. There's good and bad. Okay, same thing with essential oils. So we want to be careful about that. So it probably is okay. Once again, it depends on the quality of the product. And
so that means the most expensive is the best, typically,
well,
maybe.
often, yes. Often
Do you have a list?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's something that you would use.
I'm familiar with Young Living because the pharmacy had that, but other than that, I'm not an expert on.
Oh, there's a lot of people using it. So
Yes, there are a lot on that. So you're welcome. A person thanked me for helping them. So toothpaste name, please. So any experience on brands that are good?
Dr. Haymaker, my
Okay.
biologist, my
Biological.
Biological dentist.
Thank you. She got me on ozonated coconut oil.
Okay.
And I actually had damaged some of the, what do you call it on your teeth?
Enamel?
Enamel. I had damaged some enamel trying to save going to a dentist. I tried to scrape off
Scrape
some
it.
tartar when I was real deep into it. I shouldn't have done all that, and I damaged my teeth. So I went to the dentist and I said, how do I, I don't want to fix this. I don't want to add anything
Right.
to it. She said, get on ozonated coconut oil, and that will actually remineralize your teeth.
Oh, wow.
And I am totally blown away that
Yeah.
it did.
Wow.
It totally fixed my
That's
teeth.
neat. That's great.
So ozonate, and the one that she was using, the gentleman passed. Nobody in his family, he didn't sell he didn't go on, but there's a couple, 3 different ozonated coconut oils. So try a couple of them and find one that works.
Okay.
But I have great success with it.
Okay.
That's all I use.
Wellness, it's wellness with an E at the end.
Wellness, okay. Brand of toothpaste, okay. On that. So I'm not an expert on the toothpaste.
I do Zebra. Sometimes I do Hello that you can buy at the store. I don't know if it's good enough.
Okay. Well, so that's once again that's where I need to do better about that. I am using another brand. I'm not going to mention it because I can't. It's a natural one from actually a supplement company, but I don't know for sure. So I'm not. Therefore, I'm not going to promote it because I'm not positive. That it's going to be a great one.
My heavy metal load, my Dr. Haymaker also got me on to Tooth and Gum Tonic. That's the name of it. There's a picture of it back in our lobby back there. But Tooth and Gum Tonic is awesome. I mean,
Toothpaste?
if anybody out there is using mouthwash,
Natural mouthwash is great.
you cannot use. I'll let Keith address
Yeah, oh, yeah.
mouthwash.
Oh, yeah.
I know you know that about dental.
Yeah.
You cannot use mouthwash. That's killing your gut bacteria and your oral bacteria.
Correct.
So Tooth and Gum Tonic is the thing to do.
Yeah. So yeah, mouth rinses all kinds of toxic chemicals, and they're going to kill out the bacteria that makes nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up the blood vessels in our body, and so there's actually studies with athletes, and they measure their nitric oxide, and when they did the mouth rinse, they had less nitric oxide. When they didn't do the mouth rinse, they had more nitric oxide. And they're trying to come up with nitric oxide so they can exercise more. They can do more repetitions. They can do more weight. They can run, bicycle further, faster, that kind of thing. So nitric oxide is a big thing in the sports world, on that. So yes.
I have a special mouthwash that I'm using due to my chemotherapy that is alcohol-free. I don't know the name of it right off the top of my head, but I'm wondering, are those mouthwashes that are designed for cancer patients, are they loaded with chemicals too?
If it's anything like the diet your oncologist told you to do.
So we've been talking about that, about some of the things that oncologists are recommending in the clinics. I have to admit, I don't know. I'd have to look at it. I'll be happy to look at that and evaluate it if we can figure out what the chemicals are. But yeah, trying to prevent the inflammation in the mouth, because the chemotherapy kills out even the good cells. Yeah.
The sores.
The sores,
I have
exactly.
Sores in my mouth.
That's right.
And it's difficult to brush my teeth.
So on
Hey,
that.
Keith, this is what we use, and it's the essential oil toothpaste, and just the size of a pea,
Okay.
and it lasts 2 months. I mean, it lasts a long time. It's like $8, but this is what another one of the
Tooth and Gum essentials.
yeah,
Okay.
it's another one of the toothpaste that Dr. Haymaker.
Okay.
This is what she promotes, and
Yeah, so
we've had great success. with it.
those of you that are watching, if you want a link to that, we'll just message us and we'll get a link to you, and we'll send that link to you, about that. So how do you detox all these products that we've mentioned? Well, we talked about that too, so that question was one of the first ones that came through. There's many different things that we can do. By the way, these seminars are also recorded and posted, and they're on there for about 30 days, I believe, and also Rumble, Hyperbaric Plus.
Yeah, we move everything to Rumble. It's
Rumble,
on Facebook for 30 days, and we move it to Rumble.
Okay. And then which cookware, which cookware do you recommend? So I use stainless steel and cast iron, for most of my things. Stainless steel, actually I've got a glass water heater that we use for, for our making tea and coffee out of. And then I have a stainless steel percolator. And so, but mainly, those are the things: glass, stainless steel, cast iron will be the ones. Which plants do you recommend to purify the air? There's a person's got all kinds of things, so several different plants. So I think they probably posted that on there, so those of you can go back and look at that. But matter of fact, all plants help detoxify the air. They clean the air, and so it's very important. So indoor plants, whenever possible, are great, and that's one of the reasons. There's actually interesting studies showing that people that go for a walk, people with cancer that go for a walk through the forest, and their immune system is better just by walking through the forest.
It's because it creates the NK cells.
Yes, exactly. The NK cells. I have a
Cancer-fighting cells.
cancer natural killer cells. NK cells are natural killer cells. They're actually the lymphocytes in our white blood cells. So if I see white blood cell count low, I'm thinking, oh, we've got more serious of a problem, because our immune system then makes T cells, and then T cells turn into natural killer cells from the lymphocytes. If the lymphocytes are low, there may be something going on. Natural killer cells are just one, actually, of another group even, but they just automatically attack cancer and get rid of that. So, but being outside first, being around plants, being in the forest, walking barefoot through the grass, grounding,
And mindfulness.
and mindfulness.
Being grateful as you're walking through
Exactly, yes. Oh, not walking with the phone and yes, that's right. And so, but yes, so, taking time to relax is very important. So all plants are good, but snake plants actually have quite a few studies, about how effective they were. I think there's more plants than just that, but snake plants are one of those. So which water filter and how to reintroduce minerals to water after filtering that's suitable for an apartment? So great question, because actually my house, I have enough room in the kitchen, and we have a reverse osmosis system with all kinds of filters and a tank there, but there are countertop reverse osmosis systems that are available too. And so those are definite options. And so they're probably, I'm not for sure the size, I haven't seen one in person, just pictures, but they're like a small suitcase size, but we can find room for these things. And you
like
can
a zero water pitcher, isn't that?
I think Berkey is one of them.
well, Berkey, there's another one, Berkey, and there's several different ones that are some other filters that are options for filtering water, yes.
And the way I remineralize is I use the Himalayan, the right salt. There's some bad ones, but I use a pink salt rock in water, and as that dissolves, I use a dropper, and I put
Pull water,
short
some of that
salt.
out of it, okay.
But that, in fact, so much so that you told me I was over mineralizing.
Yes, so you were very alkaline.
I was
right.
very alkaline. You said cut back on it a little bit, which I did. And now I'm right in the
Okay, good.
right in the groove.
Okay. So, yeah, so adding those minerals in is important. So we do use that reverse osmosis, and then I do add minerals and salt, to my water. And matter of fact, actually, a little tiny pinch of salt into the water, it actually helps the coffee to taste better, because we've removed all the minerals out of the water with reverse osmosis. Now we got to put a few things back in. So it does help it to taste a little bit better. Do you recommend infrared saunas daily? I try to do it at least 5 days a week to help detoxify and get that out of the system. And do you recommend the Kagan water filter enriching with hydrogen? So Kagan's another water filter source, and then also adding like a mineral cartridge, running water through a cartridge to add more minerals into it. That's a definite option. And although I'm not sure of all the mechanics, and I haven't evaluated the internal parts of that machine, so I'm not sure about that. So, well, that's about all the time we have for today. I've got half a dozen more questions. I'm going to get to those questions online. I'll reply to your questions, but if you have more questions, submit those, and we'll get back to those.
Keith, we talked about something in the chamber, and I want to get into measurable results. I got a lot of clients that are coming here, and we have all different ways of monitoring progress. We call it here measurable results. I've got a lot of my labs posted on board up here.
Yep, that's right.
I'm working with Dr. Steve Lantier in detoxing. I'm working with Dr. Haymaker in my oral health. All the testing that I'm doing, including the ones that you gave us as self-tests, are all posted up there because I want to follow and track measurable results to see
Right.
how my health is. So there's all kinds of things we can do. I would like to have a segment on that. I don't know if next week is going to work.
Okay.
But I would like to have a segment because I've sent a lot of my clients to you for kidney and liver health.
Yeah.
And it's a game changer.
That's right. They do get better. The kidneys, our body can heal.
But exactly, and the people at the dialysis clinic won't tell you that. They just put you in the dialysis
Right.
clinic. So if you know anybody that's dealing with things leading up to this, I think we can use some of that we've learned. I know I will.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what we'll do next week.
Okay.
I am Paul with Hyperbaric Plus here in Oklahoma City at 122nd and May. And this is my good friend and very knowledgeable nutritional expert. And he's a clinical nutritionist. And Keith Bishop at Prevail Over Cancer. Can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here.
You're welcome. My
All right.
pleasure.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you for hosting us. It's
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, well, thank you. And we'll look forward to seeing you all next week.
Okay. Bye.